Hello, everybody, and welcome back. All right, so we have kind of a plan put together for how we're going to go about this mission. There's a lot of hiccups in the road, and we're going to try to smooth those out with like checks and money and stuff like that. So before we really get into it, could you remind us what our stores of cash are, please, Cattle Along? I assume you're the one that
We've
has it.
got 1,008,000 credits left and 200,900 scrap metal.
Cool. Scrap metal is, of course, what Winnie will be using to do whatever she needs to do to get this task accomplished. So we know there's
we also have 11 shield poppers.
Oh yeah. So I remember those, the grenades or whatever. Yep. So the I suppose what we should first start off by doing is coming up with a checklist of things we need to do to accomplish this plan. For Winnie, no, my apologies, for Cattle and Entree's success, I think pretty much all they need is a shuttle. And so, therefore, a ship tender mount to bring it there. That's the two things that they require for their success. It doesn't even have to be a very good shuttle, just functioning. And other than that, I think, Entree, you already got him the means to break into the facility, right? With your...
Yeah, I would also... From now onwards, I wouldn't have done it until now. Give Cattle a copy of the Cerberus Manifesto, just so he truly understands what we're dealing with, the level of these people. Because it kind of gives you insight. And he's a talker, so he might be able to do something.
Yeah.
With it. Who knows?
Take this back a step. Erin, do you know what the Cerberus Manifesto is?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I know what Cerberus is.
Yeah.
But...
So the elusive man, never mind who that actually is.
I know who that is.
The elusive man was a member of the Alliance that after the First Contact War and everything happened, more or less saw all the other races of space as being potentially a threat to humanity. And so Cerberus is the idea of Cerberus is humanity first. Like there's not necessarily anything wrong with other races, but humanity first. We can make deals with humanity first. So they the whole idea of them is to put forward the notion of how can we protect ourselves against all these other races and all of the dangers they could potentially bring. What if all of them decide, we don't like humans? How do we survive something like that? So the Cerberus Manifesto is a horribly racist, but well written, and doesn't like to somebody superficially reading it, not realizing what they're reading, they might not realize this is very coercively racist. But it is a horribly racist manifesto that's more or less saying humans are better than everything else. We need to come together to make sure that humanity always survives all obstacles that we come across along the way. It was sent out into the extranet and pulled all sorts of dregs of society, and well-respected ones, into this idea of this is what we need to do. And that was like literally his initial recruiting process before he became known as the Elusive Man. That's literally how he signed it, the Elusive Man. And then disappeared from, like, whoever it was that wrote that, disappeared from existence. Is the Elusive Man a real person or not? We know from the video games, yes. But at this point in time in society, it could be, like, was William Shakespeare a real person? Or was it a cattle of ladies that wrote a bunch of stories together and just used this name?
Right.
We don't know. So he effectively became William Shakespeare.
Gotcha.
Think of it like Mein Kampf almost.
Yeah.
I get it,
Yes. Yeah. And that's, of
Alas,
course, the...
for Martin Sheen, we knew him well.
I love Martin Sheen. So moving on, the that's what the manifesto is. So you give that to Cattle.
Gotcha.
Cattle reads it. I imagine Cattle has read it before, but maybe the
I've
one
probably
that,
come across it somewhere, yeah.
the one that you read before is probably an altered version. There are versions that are kind of scrubbed for people that are diet racist, so that they can kind of have their own wave, and they're like, oh, I don't mind what this says because it's not that bad. And there are versions that are way worse for, like, people that are crude racist. Because, you can be racist and still be classy, but no, they're just like crude, and we're just going to throw lots of slurs in there. I'm sure you've come across other versions of it. This is a raw, original posted version. Back to the task on hand. We have those two things on the sheet. Erin, potentially more bombs. Finding out who manufactures them, contacting them about cost or the ability to procure more.
if we are going to be drilling them, we don't really need more bombs.
Yep.
I'm not worried about that.
I know is one of those bits of information. So it's a ping of information. How to deliver them. So drilling systems, the different types of options there are, procuring them. Transportation here. Means of getting more here. You don't have enough cargo to transport a ton more than what you currently have. I think what else was there on your list? You didn't need a nuke anymore.
I need to figure out the drilling system, like how we're gonna get more drills, and have them go off. So I need to do the triggering system and the drills. That's it.
So I imagine Cracks, Cattle, and Winnie are going to be like really looking into the drilling system and how to make that happen. Procuring of a shuttle and the ship tender mount is something that Entree and Tremy can kind of like focus on. And Entree, I do have another little tidbit for you, but after a little bit of time has passed. So why don't we worry about these other
I'm
skill
down for
checks?
tidbits. I'm a hungry boy.
Why don't we allow time to pass a couple of rolls first, and then I'll throw it your way. So first roll, let's find out about these the drilling systems. It's going to be for the three of you that are checking intelligence lore check. That's Frank, Rick, and Aaron.
All right, I got a 10.
Also, if we have any issues getting these, sorry, I'm pulling up my sheet again.
No, you're fine.
It's closing. Like if we have any trouble, Krax is going to send a little blurb to his brood uncle. Just be like, hey, do you have? Yeah, I got one. So, hey, do you have any whatchamacallits?
We're planning to drill into a base.
Well, we're planning to crack a planet. Do you have any drills?
Okay. Not a bad idea. Roll me a contact check while you're at it.
All of us, or
No, that's connect.
Frank.
Wait, is it connect or contact?
My apologies. Connect.
Attribute. What? I can use strength.
It's you can use what you feel is appropriate for your uncle.
Strength.
There you go. I punched my uncle in the face
I got
with an
it.
email. He
God,
likes
I'm
it.
rolling horribly.
Yeah. And sadly, you don't have the reroll ability.
I'm rolling like a Solarian.
Yeah. So that's mean. So you racist.
not to mention the fact that the Solarian will blow you out of the water with rolls every time of the day.
So you you guys are going about doing your research and whatnot. So we were able to find out between you, Krax is actually more or less watching cat videos. No, he just doesn't find anything that's useful. Or at least as he finds useful information, brings it to you. It's something you guys have already discovered. It's kind of like, Krax, keep up. So what you guys are able to discover amongst you is who it is that manufactures these particular types of spikes, and that there are different ways of planting these spikes into the ground, depending on the different types of terrain, so on and so forth. They have different methods of different degrees. So one of them is, as was discovered on Omega, they have on Omega these like semi-stationary things that you set them up in the ground, it drills it in and plants them in there. That is the best method for Omega because of how fucking hard the material is they're trying to drill through. You need the long form system to drill down and do that. They do have another system where it works kind of like a the AT-ATs from Star Wars, where it's like a walker that literally walks across certain types of surfaces, and it has a drill that it kind of like has an attachment to the head of the missile, and it drills down into softer, more like rock or dirt or something like that it's drilling into. Drills down into it, the front of the drill kind of opens up, lifts itself away so that the missile or the spike can drop into there and be good to go, and they can slam it down further afterwards. So it kind of walks and does that one. They have another version for when you're handling things like ice and whatnot. This actually works more like a hovercraft. where it flies over where the ice where it's going to be planted into is. It actually is a multifocal laser, so almost think like a Death Star-esque laser, a whole bunch of points focused down on one area to melt down into the ice to make a spot where it's like superheated, where it can get there. Once again, it has a spot above it where it's designed to slam it down into the ground immediately afterwards, so once again activates it and shoves it a bit further into the ice, so that lands as well. These are the three most common forms of use that they have. They have a couple of other methods as well, and they also have the most mundane one, which is literally people mine it out themselves. But that's for like super poor people that just needed the spike. That's obviously not an option for you because you're looking for speed here. The issue is I named those to you in degree of least to most expensive, as you might imagine. So even the multifocal laser could work in other areas if you can get it hot enough. But again, you're spending even more money to cut through rock with laser as opposed to ice, right? So, any of those tickle you? I imagine one of them does, but
I don't think the cost is like we're going to be able to get that.
So the cool thing of the floaty one, of course, the hovercraft one,
man.
is something like that is designed to be almost like the size of a shuttle. So it actually technically those can attach to a ship tender mount, which is cool because you can literally grab that, bring it over, and transport it to an area. It would unload, and from there it's manually manipulated. So somebody would have to fly it. Somebody that understands how to work this machine would have to fly it and manually handle how to work it. And so it takes care of it. It actually can hold so many spikes inside itself because it's designed to laser and then drop them and slam them in. So it's actually literally its own self-contained drilling, arming, and delivery system all into itself. And there are different sizes and qualities. As you imagine, every manufacturer offers options, of course. So,
Assuming we can get on the planet stealthily, could we then have Tremilia take us on the hovercraft, like near to the base? We'll leg it the final stretch, get in, then take out the sensors, and meanwhile they take the hovercraft and start doing like the thing.
So the issue is ship tender
Are
mount.
you gonna say we don't want Tremi on the surface?
Well, let's take it back a step. Let's say ship tender mount, right? You can only mount one thing to it. So your best bet with something like this is we're talking. You bring the hovercraft. You bring it to a nearby body of solar chunk. Let's call it a moon of Pluto. It's now sitting on that moon. You go back. You get the shuttle. You bring the shuttle with the people in it. You drop them on Pluto. Then you go back. You get the hovercraft. You bring it to Pluto. You dislodge that so you can start doing because you can
We
only
don't
ship
have
to about
enough
one thing at a time.
ports.
Yeah. So you could there are feasible ways of doing it. It's just you got to be smart with how you handle it.
Yeah, I was just thinking we might be able to use the hovercraft instead of a shuttle, but that's probably not going to be a thing.
I mean,
Because
instead
until
of
we
the
take
shuttle-
out their sensors.
I see what you're saying. So now, I literally just put together what you were saying. My apologies. So it's designed to have 1 to 2 people that are using the functionality of this thing, not to be a transport of a bunch of people. You imagine you could fit more people in the cab, but then you're using precious time needed for drilling for transport, and these aren't fast. They're designed to be heavy and to get a job done, not to be quick transports or to fly under radars. You know what I mean? So yes, but at a cost. Excuse me, hiccup.
I don't think that's really like. We can't afford to be flying back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all the time.
So the back and forth would be the. Let me just try to. You come from, let's say, Weir's near. You come out of the Sharon Relay, drop off the hover thing, go back to the Sharon Relay, come back with the shuttle attached, drop off the shuttle exactly where you need it, fly it back across to wherever it was on Pluto. Theoretically, you've hidden this, pick it back up, and again, it's difficult. But as Ollie said, not enough ports. You can only transport one, and your vessel's not large enough to have 2 ship tender mounts. And the device is not small enough to fit inside your ship in and of itself. Brings you back to the idea of We'll steal a transport vessel.
Hey, remember the time that we had a shuttle?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you
it's
sold
all
it.
coming to bite us in the ass now.
Yeah, you sold the shuttle. So you guys know
And
that
use
those
that money to buy a new one.
you guys know that there's 3 mechanical versions of mining that answers your question, Aaron. So this kind of being your primary task, think about which ones you like the best. Do you hate all of those? And we're going to go to the nuclear option, asking Crack's uncle. I can't hear you.
You're muted.
All right, I'm coughing. I'm just waiting for the captain to make a call. I don't really care. We'll make whatever one work. So what do you want to do, Cattle?
That's an attitude that's going to get you far here. Not caring, making sure your superior cares about it, but doing it no matter what. Really, that's...
Don't complain if we end up killing people for it.
I didn't make the call.
I don't like the Walker idea because that's basically the same thing. We need to transport that. So we're left with either get 1 drill and like drill 6 holes, or get 6 drills somehow, which will also involve flying around a lot.
Can we buy a shuttle? Would that be okay? We can sell it afterwards.
You guys can definitely buy a shuttle. You have the means to.
That's not like
I understand the means. Like I'm asking like Cattle if we can buy a shuttle. We can sell it afterwards.
That
Yes.
We're gonna have
that
more
can be
money
done.
afterwards.
that is a
Let's do
solid
that then.
yes.
And let's put the 6 drills in there. Was that feasible? Can we do that?
Hold on, give me 1 second. So looking for a
Or
specifically
we
shuttle.
also would be taking the spears, and the spears barely fit in our cargo on
We have
the
enough-
ship.
We have enough room for 2 more spears though. So do we have enough room?
Yeah,
for
but the
6
shuttle won't have enough room for all of them plus extra drills.
So 1 second. So
Get it?
let's talk about the shuttle for a second. Originally the plan was the shuttle was literally just to have them flying quick and low, drop them off at the infiltration point, and get them back out. Are you looking to see if a shuttle can do more than that? Drop shit off nearby first, and then bring them to infiltration point. Is that your new plan, Aaron? Because if that's the case, we can talk about that.
I don't care
Okay.
how we do it.
So
That would bring a lot more attention.
that's a. I'm going to assume yes, because that answer doesn't help at all. So I'm going to assume yes. In that case, sure. Could the shuttle transport mining equipment? Definitely. A stripped down shuttle that has effectively no weapons on it, no like a stripped down, hollowed out shuttle. It can fly from point A to point B and carry just a bunch of crap inside of it. Yes, you can have it drop off mining equipment as well. And you can have a lot of that mining equipment stored in the shuttle, attached to a ship tender mount, so it can at least get done what you're asking for. But you're now taxing them with needing to do an additional tax on top of infiltrating. Not a problem. Well, you know what I mean.
Doesn't matter. Like if we have to go back and forth and drop all this shit off, I don't care. Like let's just make a decision. Sorry. Like I don't
even get what the
I don't
current
care.
discussion is about. Like
Yeah, I don't.
versus.
Yeah.
So what would be the alternative? So basically, plan right now. What I thought was happening. What I imagined. Our ship, the Iron Talon, drops off a shuttle like over the base, like
Yep.
Yeah.
with us,
Yep.
right? And we just fucking go straight down like it's PUBG, and we get out and we get some guns and we do our thing. Then it like lands, and you guys go out and you start mining.
That
What
was the
you're
original
suggesting
plan.
Is
Yes.
instead of us just going straight down, we go da-da-da-da-da-da and set you up and then go.
Yes.
But then the issue being is like shuttle's small, all things no fit shuttle. Like I would just straight up say, like I would assume if you did the math, it wouldn't be possible to fit all the shit on the shuttle.
You can fit shit on a stripped down, hollowed out shuttle. You can fit shit there, not spikes, but mining equipment and whatnot that they can set up. You can.
You would need the spikes, so
But
it
then,
doesn't make
but then you're losing you just PUBG is a perfect example. You drop in low and fast, so nobody really knows that you're there. You lose that.
Yeah, I
So-
think. But the risk of this is that the ship has to actually get closer to the danger, right? But Tremi's been talking all this time about how she's going to be good when she gets a Taurian ship. This is the time to test it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about whatever.
Yeah, and as soon
weird
as we
plans
take out
you're
their
talking
sensors,
about,
we can
don't do it.
afford to be less sneaky.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Especially if we
That's
take out the sensors really quickly, they might mobilize defenses. But then, especially if we take out their sensors and communication, if they send out fighters, they'll send out like not all of them at once probably, and then they'll be dead.
So let's kibosh the side conversation that we were just having. Thank you, Ollie. And go back to the mining itself. You're saying no to the AT-AT style, the Walker, because of 110 reasons. So that brings you back to the 1 to 6 drills, or the hovercraft, which has its own intrinsic. They both have their own intrinsic issues. So hovercraft is a fly back and forth, so you can actually transport the thing. The bunch of drilling equipment is how do we transport all that stuff there. So Aaron, I imagine you would prefer the hovercraft if you could actually get it there, because it does most of the work for you, right?
That sounds great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get that hovercraft there somehow. So what would be, let's assume you could actually purchase this thing, and it's not cheap, but you guys have a fuck ton of money. You have over 1 million credits. So let's assume you could actually purchase this thing, and you can actually, how would we get it there? 1 ship tender mount, it would have to be attached to that. 1 shuttle, 1 ship tender mount. You get what I'm saying? 2 things that attach to it.
I was going to say, how big is this hovercraft? If it genuinely needs to be actually mounted and not just like crammed in the cargo hold.
It won't be able to be crammed in the cargo hold. It would have to be mounted, and that's because it's something that's going to hold all the spikes.
I don't know why. Something about the word hovercraft just always makes me think small.
Okay, so this is a mining.
That's not you. That's
no,
just
no,
me
no.
in
You're fine.
the brain.
This is a mining craft. It hovers. It's a mining craft that has a multifocal laser as well as a huge hammer attached to the bottom of it, and all of those wonderful missiles or spikes that you have currently in your hull are actually going to be attached to the side of it. I said there's multiple selections, so the smallest version of them will actually hold 4 of those spikes attached to it. So your ship tender mount will have 4 spikes, 2 on either side attached to it. So as it goes to wherever it is the spike needs to go, the multifocal laser will drill down with the laser. It'll take one of those spikes, line it up, and slam it in place, then go over to where it needs to. So that actually takes a bunch of shit out of your hull by having it on the ship tender mount. The next step up, we will be able to hold 6. The next step up, we will be able to hold 10.
We'd want the one that gets 6 because we have 6, and that stops the fact that we'd have to restock, which just seems very...
Exactly. So
don't want to do that.
So now that you hear all this, and you're probably thinking, wow, that's super convenient. It is.
We can't put that on the ship at the same time as a shuttle.
So how do you get both of them there? So it's a matter of timing. So now you have to work out your timing plan, assuming you can acquire everything with your money or illegal activity. You assume you can actually acquire these things.
With your money or illegal activity.
Murder hobos. So,
in space.
We're not murder hobos, we're just a morally very dark grey party.
So now let's approach the second part of this. Transporting of both things to the ship tender mount and being able to time it well.
Do you think... Alright, here's a sort of tangent, but it's related. There would either be... what are the chances of if we drop shuttle, if we drop trow, if we drop shuttle, of it getting detected? Small thing going very fast. Who knows if it gets detected? It also potentially ways to make it be less likely to be detected with shielding and things. Potential, drop that in like the snow / ice, and leave it there for like a day with me and Cattle in it.
Oh, that's cool.
While you guys
the exact opposite of what I was saying. Okay, cool.
Because
keep going.
That basically leaves that, especially if we then, I mean, with money or illegal activities, cloak the shuttle, drop the shuttle. If that doesn't get detected, we're good. If it does get detected, me and Cattle have to destroy the base on our own, and that's fine.
I don't like this plan anymore.
That solves an entire problem.
Okay. So let me explain this back out to make sure I get your plan well. Tremi, ship tender mount, shuttle, you guys in shuttle, flies in the secret way on the opposite side of the planet as we discussed. It's a very small planet. On the opposite side of the planet as we had discussed beforehand, and hides you in the snow, ice, mountains, whatever. Yay. Leaves. Goes and gets the hovercraft, comes back. You guys, after a couple days of sitting there quietly, turn everything online and then start heading towards it. Hopefully not dead yet. Head towards there so you guys can kind of do your own tasks at the same time, kind of lining them up. Totally a fucking option.
'Cause-
The exact opposite of what I was saying, and definitely better than what I was suggesting.
It makes because you're right. The whole point of this, everything has happened at the same time. That does solve a bunch of problems, and if we don't get spotted, it's a great idea. If we do get spotted, it's a terrible idea. But we can always send an alert ping. Is like, we'll have to have a what's it called? A safe word where it's like, okay, come back. We need you.
Pineapple.
Because, yeah, we'll have a pineapple, and if things go really badly, come back. And
it's appropriate. Your safe word would be a fruit from human planet.
I mean, pineapple's fucking terrible, so there you go. That's the entire reason behind it.
I love pineapple.
Whoa, well, I'm done,
Pineapple's
guys.
fucking
Bye.
Yeah, I love
You're
pineapples.
fucking dead to me, Scott.
Just bye, everyone.
Pineapples are delicious.
I love pineapple.
Yeah,
Pineapple's wonderful,
it's like perfectly sweet and tangy,
especially on pizza. With ham.
especially on pizza.
And it
Right?
has the
Fucking love
worst texture in the world of any fruit.
It does have a bad texture.
It's
I'll admit
awful.
that.
But you don't chew the skin. You're not like biting a banana on the outside. You know what I mean? Like you
inside,
peel
too.
it.
It's like a worse orange.
Have-
I had an orange for
It's like
breakfast.
stringy. It's gross.
but
I
have
love
you
pineapple.
put salt on pineapples before?
So
like
I like
pineapple.
my
Try.
plan
Okay.
of dropping us
Ollie,
and then leaving.
It's a good plan. It's a very good plan.
It